Well, hello there, you beautiful, beautiful people, and welcome to video 2 of the day. You know the drill. If you've only seen one, you're in the... If you've not seen any, you've missed one. Straight in to the meat and potatoes. We've got two things to touch on. I just want to touch on Summer Wells quickly. Now, I was aware that some people hadn't heard of the Summer Wells case. And look, I know some people have also commented that they can only really handle one case at a time. And I fully appreciate that. Of course I do. But for those who can expand their knowledge and may not be aware of the Summer Wells case, I have a playlist. Summer Wells has now been missing for 2 years. 2 years. I wish I could go into all the details on this of what the circumstances were around her disappearance, but like I say, I do have an extensive playlist and I would suggest go and look at it. This is ongoing, it's still being spoken about now, and I will be integrating some Summer Wells videos in with the comment starting as of next week, as we touch on some of the things that have happened around the Summer Wells case and ongoing. I have spoken to Summer's dad. I use that in quotation marks, dad, and I have talked to other people around the case as well. So, straight into the meat and potatoes, part 2. Times 2. So, look, Mark Twain famously said, "It's not the things you know that will undo you, it's the things you think you know, which just ain't so." And I want you to think about that for a second and think what you think that means. Now, some people have come to believe that this channel is a pro-Kohberger channel. And let me just reassure people, this is not about being pro-Kohberger. This is about being pro what's right. We have seen so many things in society fall by the wayside, and they just don't seem to matter anymore. People just don't seem to have values anymore. They don't seem to care. That goes as far as our children. The lack of empathy that I see in teenagers, even my own children, the lack of empathy is very, very apparent. The world with which we live in is a very, very different place than it was when I was growing up. And look, I'm getting to that point now where I can look back and I can reminisce. I was an 80s kid. You know, I'm 43 now. And I don't think that I am old. I think I'm young. In fact, I think my brain thinks that I'm still only 21 years old. But the point being that the world has changed. And look, some change is good, and we need change. We can't just stay stuck as we are. And, you know, there's certain things that, even though we may not see them as being a good thing, perhaps they are. The fact that not only has food prices gone up, bad, you know, like McDonald's and things like that are not good for you, but the portions have got smaller, and maybe that's to make us healthier all over. Who knows? I'm still not happy about it. Anyway, I digress. That's because I'm hungry. I need to eat. I might go and eat. No, I'll do that in a bit. So look, the world's changed. And what with this case, there is a situation happening. And what we're seeing is the fact that that people have an opinion. And opinions, they say, are like arseholes. Everyone's got one. But the point being is that some people's opinions are based off other people's opinions that they feel are right, but they're not. They have no grounding, no basis in fact whatsoever. And I think that it's quite dangerous to believe that what a certain person says, because of who they are or what they supposedly represent, you have to take that as gospel. And that's what we're seeing in the Bryan Kohberger case hugely. Hugely. This is almost, how can I say, it's got to the point where I would say 90% of people who believe that Bryan Kohberger is guilty of the crime with which he is being charged believe he is guilty based on a falsity. something that they've heard that they actually believe is fact, and it's not. And even certain elements of the case that are contained within the documentation is still not proven. And that is what the process does. It has to whittle out what is not right, what is absolutely proven. And here is the documentation, the proof to support what we are saying. But you guys, not everybody, but some, have just gone all the way over that. They have become judge, jury, and executioner without probably even noticing it, probably without any malicious intent. But I wonder what you want if you are a parent, or you're looking to be a parent in the future, or you just, you know what I'm getting at. What sort of person do you consider yourself? And then step back and think, why do I think that this person is guilty? Is it because I have heard that he was a narcissist? Because I've had these comments, I've said it before. Brian Kohberger, oh, he wouldn't, this is too much, this is Brian Kohberger all over, he's a narcissist. Or Brian Kohberger wouldn't have done that, he is too much of a narcissist. Where is your proof that Brian Kohberger is a narcissist? What makes you think that Brian Kohberger is a narcissist? Unless you know him, you've met him, and I know I've touched on this previously, and I want to extrapolate upon this. How can you have a comment? We have only seen very, very minimal interactions with Brian. And what have we seen? We've seen him interact. Strangely, the interactions that we've seen have been with females. And we have seen someone who has interacted with a police officer. He was respectful. He didn't get angry. He showed the point that he is intelligent, and he used intelligence and knowledge and some perhaps misunderstanding, explained why he was in the situation that he was in. And the scary thing is, if he committed this crime, this wasn't that long before. Now, did anybody see anything that was untoward in that? And there will be people who says, yeah, I saw how he reacted and it was bad. And perhaps that says more about those that didn't see anything wrong with it. I don't know. Maybe some people are just very highly, in the scale of empathy, and they saw something different in it. But I didn't see anything wrong in how he was interacting with a female. Is it because you've heard that he was a harsh marker of females? He marked females harshly in their schooling. But that has been debunked. It's been proven that the way in which he marked all students was, in their eyes, harshly. Remember, in the students' eyes, it was harshly. If you have children, especially if you have teenagers, you have likely been in the same situation as me, when your child has come home and they have complained about how a teacher has behaved. And then they tell you the situation, the scenario, and you think to yourself, but the teacher was right. What do you want the teacher to do? The teacher is there to get the absolute best out of you, to challenge you, to make you challenge yourself, to push yourself, to strive, to get better, to hold yourself in a higher regard, because the world is getting harder to participate. We live in a world now where the system is trying to dumb people down, You're no longer awarded for first, second and third. You're awarded for just merely participating. So what's the point in pushing? And you have these people like Brian who will continue to try and push, to make people excel. And we need those people. We need people that will push people to not simply be happy with a participation sticker. But that has been twisted into Brian Kohberger marked females' papers harshly. Therefore, he is a sexist. And I'm not going to get into the Handmaid's Tales thing and all that, and the way that that was cropped to make it look like he was the only male in there when there was other males in there, and, you know, it's just propaganda. But look, what else is there that convinces you that this guy is the guy? Is it the fact that he was a stalker? What proof does anyone have that Bryan Kohberger stalked anyone? Anyone whatsoever? And I'm not saying he didn't. That's not what's important here. The importance is to step back and with your own mind consider everything and consider whether that information is enough for you to say, this guy deserves to die. Because that's what you're in effect doing, potentially. It's not been confirmed that they are seeking the death penalty as of recording this video. That may change, obviously. Daily Mail. Now, what else is there? We have been told that he frequented late at night coming from Washington into Moscow. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Maybe he was selling a bit of narcotics on the side. You know, maybe he was selling marijuana, bringing it over. Let's not forget the legality of marijuana in Washington is very, very different to Idaho. Illegal, legal. Has anybody even considered that maybe students around the area were buying off Bryan and he was taking it to them? Possible? Could you say definitely not? Beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's important. Some people have thought it's the other way round. And that perhaps these guys were selling to Bryan. But what if it was the other way round? What if Bryan was supplying certain things to houses in this area to make a bit of money? No, he weren't driving a Ferrari. He was driving a white Hyundai Elantra 2015. Not 2011 to 2013. And we'll come to that point next. So in terms of, there's a split, isn't there? There's the stuff that social media have pushed out and twisted, like the breaking into, or not breaking into, fitting cameras in a work colleague's apartment who had gone to him for help and used that to stalk her. That's what a lot of people are still putting in comments, that's what he done. That has not been proven. And if it had been proven, or there was huge credibility in that story, we would have heard that there would have been an indictment on that case. We would have heard. And he hasn't. But let's not forget, I've gone off on a tangent, but I'll make a point. The female went to Bryan for help. The female went to Bryan for help. I'll leave that there. Stick a pin in it. In terms of the real documentation, the real paperwork, the stuff that matters, what is in there? What is in there that proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Bryan Kohberger did this crime? His phone was switched off around the time of the murders. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good because you've got this thing happened here, and around that time his phone went off. But his phone, could it have run out of battery? Is it beyond a reasonable doubt to just think that his phone just run out of battery? And perhaps he was out and about and he put the phone back on charge. Who knows? Is it beyond a reasonable doubt to think that his phone could have just lost power or whatever, or something else, or he did indeed, I don't know, turn it off, but he wasn't involved in the murders themselves? And like I say, I'm acknowledging the fact that it don't look good, but beyond a reasonable doubt, does that mean that he was there doing the crime itself? we have a car that is disputable in terms of whether it is Brian's car. The image that I've seen that I believe is the one that they're using, and look, they could have multiple cameras and multiple captures of his car and be able to absolutely prove that that's his car. But that's not the point. That's what the court process is for. I'm talking about what's happening before we get there. You can't... This is the entire point. What I'm trying to point out is what you know to be fact now. This sheath. There are still people who are out there who are turning around and saying, well, you know, there was a K-bar knife sheath found with a button snap on it that had a tiny amount of trace DNA on there. Tiny amount of trace DNA. But you have assumed that that knife sheath was the murder weapon's sheath. You've also concluded without confirmation that the weapon that was used was the K-bar knife that went into that sheath. That it was in fact a K-bar knife at all. That has never, ever been confirmed. That is the weapon that was used. And that sheath is the murder weapon's sheath. They had continued searching for weapons and sheaths after that sheath had been found. So if they were confident in that that was the sheath, why would they still be looking for sheaths? Obviously, they're still looking for a weapon, it would assume. So they don't have a murder weapon. They don't have it. Again, I don't want to go on too long, but my point is being to make people think. To make people think. Once someone has been proven guilty of this crime, you know, if Brian goes through due process and he is found guilty, then he deserves the punishment. He has gone through the system. They have proven beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it. And he deserves then to be punished for it. And we can look back and we can ponder, we can speculate on why he did it, whether he says why he did it. Maybe he'll just remain an enigma. But before he's gone through due process, to condemn a man, potentially condemn a man to death, based on nothing but conjecture, speculation, stuff that News Nation have said, Dateline have said, that has not been proven, is wrong. And what example does that give to people? What does that do? People will come onto this channel and they will attack me for supporting Brian when all I'm trying to do is support the process. Say that I only report things that put Brian Kohberger in a better light and I avoid stuff that puts him in a bad light. No, I don't. What I'm trying to get at is there's nothing that's set in stone that has been proven to be right. Give me an example of something down below that proves beyond a reasonable doubt that he is the guy who did the crime. I would be interested. Do that. Let me know down below what you have seen that proves beyond a reasonable doubt Brian Kohberger was the killer in this case. Beyond a reasonable doubt. That's what I want. I want you to put down below that exact thing. What proof is there that proves beyond a reasonable doubt Brian Kohberger is the guy who did this crime? This ain't about supporting him. This is about supporting what's right. And what's right is to allow someone to go through due process. And what is wrong is to convict a man, to condemn a man to death based on nothing but conjecture, speculation, embellishment, and the believing of lies and manipulation of stories. Because that's what the vast majority of people who have him pegged are doing. There's a lot of fair people out there. There's a lot of people who are more sensible than I, because I can't let this fucking drop. And the reason why I can't let it drop is because even if I let it drop, other people won't. And they'll keep pushing this poisonous, dangerous narrative while hiding behind the facade of their their righteousness. Anyway, it's Friday. This is the last video of the week. I want you to have a fantastic weekend. Please do not email me over the weekend. I'm going to try and catch up on emails that have been sent throughout the week and last weekend that I'm still trying to catch up on. I will not answer any emails this weekend that are sent over the weekend. I'm back on it on Monday. This is about trying to catch up, guys. And yeah, you have yourselves a fantastic, fantastic weekend. Enjoy some time with the family, friends, whatever you're doing, and stay beautiful.